What is cloud? Most of you have mentioned over here that you are new to cloud and you do not know how cloud, what exactly is cloud, but you've watched some videos, you have gone through some sessions, but you're not very clear on that. Okay, so first thing which we need to understand is what is cloud. What is cloud computing? That's the first question which we'll try to answer today. Okay, so simple. If you go to Google and if you search what is cloud computing, you will get probably more than 100 definitions. Okay, and you can just memorize those definitions, and that will be good. In fact, one of the institute, which is NIST Institute, National Institute of Standard Technology, that provides a very good definition of a cloud. So you can memorize those things by yourself. Okay, but that's not why you are here for. Okay, we are here to learn, not to memorize. We are here to learn, right? So first of all, if anyone is asking you what is cloud computing, or if you yourself want to know what is cloud computing, remember this keywords. It's a delivery of compute resources over the internet. If you can remember this definition, if you can remember this line, basically you will be able to understand what is cloud. Okay, now let's try to break these words so that you can understand what exactly I'm trying to say. Now, this what I'm saying right now, this will be mostly applicable for the people who are new to cloud, who have got some basic information about cloud. Okay, however, if you're already into cloud, or if you know the basics of cloud, probably you can stay tuned. The next topic which I will cover will be some advanced topics. Okay, so probably some 5 minutes or 10 minutes on one of the advanced topics for the cloud. Okay, so that's something which I'll cover a little later. So first of all, we need to understand what is a cloud computing. It's a delivery of compute resources over the internet. Now, delivery, who's going to go ahead and do this delivery? The delivery will be done by the Azure. Azure is a company which is from Microsoft. Okay, they provide cloud computing services, right? So delivery will be done by the Azure company. Now, Azure company, how will they do the delivery? They will do the delivery with the help of a premises which we ideally call as data center. So just a minute, I think someone is trying to join. Okay, not a problem. Okay, so well, as I was saying, who's going to go ahead and do the delivery? Azure. How will they do the delivery? With the help of data center. Now, what is a data center? Okay, remember this line which I've told you, and now we are trying to explore this. Okay, by the way, I am not a PPT guy. I will not be running through any PPT, neither during the demo nor during my training. I do not have any PPT. Okay, I basically try to explain the things via this whiteboard. So first we discuss the concepts, we try to learn the theoretical part from this whiteboard, and then directly we jump into the lab sessions. Okay, now this lab sessions is also we provide it for free. Stay tuned, I will give some more information about this one. Okay, so my way of teaching is whiteboard and then directly into the lab session for your hands-on, or you can say real time, or you can say projects, everything, whatever we do it in the lab session. And that is something which I will provide you during our training session. Okay, so that's my way of teaching. I don't run through any PPT, so no PPTs. Okay, so anyways, so what we were discussing is that we have a delivery. Someone is going to go and do the delivery. So who's going to do the delivery? Azure. How will they do the delivery? By their data center. Now, what is a data center? In a data center, you have something called as big servers. A big servers. Now, big servers means big in the size. Probably yes, but big in resources. Now, what do I mean by resources? Okay, you remember delivery of compute resources. That was our definition, right? So what is this compute resources? This compute resources means your CPU, memory, storage, all those things are your compute resources. So delivery of compute resources, who's going to do the delivery? Azure. Via how? Via the data center. What is a data center? It is a building. It is a premises. Just like you go to your office, right? Just like that, there is a big building, there's a huge building. Over there will be, several servers, a huge servers. Huge means it has got a huge quantity of CPU, memory, and storage. Okay, of course, the size of the data center may depends from company to company. And if you're not speaking, you can be on mute, please. Thank you. So Ramesh, I think you just joined. So we just got started, okay, and we are discussing about what is cloud computing, okay. So cloud computing is the delivery of compute resources. Delivery, Azure is doing via the data center. Inside the data center, they have servers. That server has got huge amount of CPU, huge amount of memory, huge amount of storage. Now, when I say huge, what does the word huge means? See, you also have a laptop right now with you, correct? That will have probably, let's say, 8 GB of RAM, correct? However, this server which is present in the data center, this will have probably 80 GB of a RAM. Now, do not go by word to word, okay? What I'm just trying to give you a picture. Your laptop can have 12 GB of RAM also, right? So over here it can have, probably, probably 160 GB of a RAM, or 200 GB of a RAM, or 500 GB of a RAM. Just I'm trying to give you a comparison that in your laptop you can have 8 to 12 GB or 16 GB of a RAM, but in the data center, the servers which I have, there I will have huge memory, okay. Similarly, huge CPU, huge storage. All these resources, we call this as resources, all these resources will be in huge quantity. Now, why do I need these resources, or what is the utilization? I will come to that a little later, but we are right now talking about the definition of cloud computing. So what we have spoken is, it's a delivery of compute resources over the internet, if you remember, okay. So let's go back and look at our definition once again. So we have a data center where we have a server. Now in that server we have got CPU, memory, storage. So delivery is being done by the Azure data center, okay. Of what? Of the compute resources over the internet. So me and you, just like this, we will have different clients, different users. They will also be connected to internet. So delivery of compute resources over the internet. So me, you, just like this, any other users can access these resources over the internet. So if this internet connection is down, these resources will not be available to any user. If the internet connection for you is down, still you will not be able to access it. So over the internet, this internet words becomes very important in our definition, okay. So just a recap of what we have discussed so far. What is cloud computing? It's a delivery of compute resources over the internet. We need to remember this delivery Azure is doing via how? Via the data center. Inside the data center, what do I have? I have the compute resources like CPU, memory, all those things over the internet. So if we do not have an internet connection, we cannot use the cloud resources or cloud services. And both the sides, this data center is connected to internet and the users is also connected to internet. So both these connection needs to be working fine. Then only it's going to happen. Ideally, making sure that this part of the internet connection is up and running, that will be the responsibility of Azure. Making sure that this internet is up and running fine, this will be responsibility of a user. Like right now you are connected to Zoom session, so you are sitting over here, you are making sure that your broadband is working fine. I am sitting over here and probably I am making sure that this internet connection is fine. So we both are connected via internet and I am doing the delivery of this demo over the internet. So basically we are right now working in the cloud model. This is cloud. Remember this. This is cloud. In short, okay. Now we can go ahead, go deep inside, and we can, learn about a lot of things about the cloud, definitely. But overall, if you are asking me what is cloud, this is cloud. The delivery of compute resources over the internet. So next time, if anyone is asking you, remember these keywords: delivery, compute resources, internet. Delivery of compute resources over the internet is called cloud computing. Okay. Now let's go a little deeper now. So I mentioned that there is a server in the data center. Now this is my data center, for example. Okay, over there I have a server. Now I said there's a huge amount of CPU, there is a huge amount of memory resources. Apart from this, there will be a few other devices also connected, like some networking devices, like router, firewall, switches, load balancer, all those networking devices will be connected. Some cables will be there. All those things will be there in your data center, okay? And each of them have got, elaborate definition about them, okay? So I'm not going ahead over there right now. What I'm trying to explore is why do I need this data center? This data center is connected to internet, I have understood, and I am a user. Why will I go ahead and keep my resources in someone else's data center? Why do I do that? I can have my own laptop over here and I can keep my resources and it is connected to internet. So why do I even need this data center? What is the use? What is the requirement? Why do people do this? Okay, everyone is moving to cloud. Means what? Everyone is moving to this data center, which is being managed by Azure. Now, this data center presence is across, multiple places across the globe. Okay, it's not just one data center. There are, multiple data centers across the globe. In fact, in India itself, there are three locations where you have Azure presence. The presence of Azure is in mostly three locations, I would say. Okay, and we'll get to know about those locations in our full version of the training. But right now we are talking why. Why do I need this data center? Why should I go ahead and keep the information in someone else's data center? What is the need? Now let's pick up a real-time example. Do you use any commercial website or any website to make your purchases, like, for example, flipkart.com? Do any of you use over here flipkart.com, or do you use, let's say, Myntra, or do you use, let's say, for example, makemytrip.com, or such websites? Do you use these kind of websites? These are nothing but your web applications, okay, which is enterprise level web applications. Do any of you use these websites?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course, I'm sure every one of you will say I use these websites, and the purpose of these websites are different. Like, for example, I'm going ahead and using makemytrip.com. So why do I use makemytrip.com? What is the purpose? What is the use of that website?
Book the flights or hotel.
Absolutely, to make some bookings. Very important. Okay, now you can make a booking night 2 a.m. also. You can book it at morning 11 o'clock also. You can book it at evening 5 p.m. also. Basically, you can book this tickets in by going to this makemytrip.com at any point of time, right? But let's say it is night 2:30 a.m. and suddenly you open makemytrip.com and you are going ahead and trying to make a booking, and you clicked on the payment button, and the money was deducted, but the ticket was not booked. How would you feel? Would you be happy or would you be sad? What would be your reaction? Your money got deducted, but the ticket never got booked. The flight did not get booked. What would be your reaction? Would you be happy or sad?
Sad.
Of course, sad. If you see that this website is trying to book the tickets but they're not able to book the ticket, you spent some money over here. What was your expectation? Your expectation was that it should book your ticket. Now let's go deeper over here. What happened actually? There was a web application called makemytrip.com. You, as a user, you connected to internet, and this makemytrip.com is also connected to internet. So your internet connection is working perfectly fine. This internet connection is also working perfectly fine because this website is up and running. This enterprise level web application is running up and fine. Okay, but somewhere it has a failure. What exactly happened? Most likely there was a glitch, there was some problem on this web application, and that is why there was a fluctuation for probably 2 to 3 seconds, or probably 2 to 3 minutes, something like that. Basically what happened, this website was not available for few seconds. You, as a user, what is your expectation? That it should run 24/7 without any downtime. That is your expectation as a user. If you next day, if you, let's say, you did not book the ticket and the money was even not deducted, but next day morning again you went ahead and you opened the website at 5 a.m. and you see the message says, the page cannot be displayed, the website is not available. Again, what would be your reaction? Would you be happy or would you be sad?
Sad only.
Of course sad, because what is your expectation? That this website should run 24/7. So this is the expectation. Now let's go ahead a little bit deeper. This website is running on some server. This is my website, enterprise level web application. It can be make my trip, flipkart.com, anything. Okay, this is running on some server. If this web application needs to run 24/7, I need to make sure that this server is running 24/7. You can go ahead and install this web application in your physical laptop also. This is your laptop running Windows 10. You can make sure that, let's say I am a makemytrip.com company. So I can install this on the laptop and I can make it running 24/7. I'll just turn on my laptop and leave it 24/7 up and running. But does this laptop has enough resources? Does it have enough CPU, memory, and storage so that it can accommodate probably 1000 requests at one given point of time? Do I have these resources? First of all, no. The second problem, can I keep this laptop running 24/7 online for multiple years? Probably the answer is no, because my laptop is a single point of failure. If my laptop has hard disk crashes over there, my website will be down. And again, remember, my customers will not be happy because their expectation is 24/7. So what you are doing is basically, instead of installing this web application in your laptop, you go ahead and use the data center. You host this web application into a data center. So exactly what happens over there in the data center, you will have something called as servers. This will have huge amount of CPU, memory, and storage. And on top of this, you will create a machine which is called as virtual machine. Your laptop, remember, that is a physical machine. That's a physical machine. However, on this server, the server is a physical server. But on top of that, you are creating a machine which is virtually you are accessing over the internet. And the responsibility to keep this virtual machine up and running 24/7, that lies with the data center team, which in our case is Azure Data Center. So Azure will make sure that the server is up and running 24/7, on top of which you can create a virtual machine. And inside this virtual machine, you will go ahead and install your Make My Trip application. So your Make My Trip application, your Flipkart application, in fact, your Gmail, your Yahoo, whatever you see, all those web applications is running on some or the other machine, which is actually running on some or the other server, which is actually present in some or the other data center. Now, this data center will be managed by Azure. So you, as a flipkart.com company or a makemytrip.com company, you don't have to think that whether the server is up and running or not. Does this server where I've hosted my web application, does underlying hardware, there will be underlying hardware, there is a storage attached, right? There is a CPU which is running, there is a memory which is running, there's a storage, there's a networking devices, there are so many devices which is running at the back end, right? All these are up and running 24/7. You do not have to manage. You are Flipkart. Remember, you are Flipkart. You will just focus whether my Flipkart is, making enough sales or not. Am I running the promos which is helpful to me or not? The offers which I'm displaying over there, is it becoming helpful to not, or helpful or not? Basically, you as a Flipkart, as a company, you will just focus on your business and you will not focus on the infrastructure. This infrastructure will be maintained by the Azure data center team. So we give the responsibility of managing the infrastructure to someone else. In our case, it is Azure data center. So in a nutshell, just a recap, what we have is a data center. Inside the data center, there is a server, and I, as a Flipkart customer, now this is connected to internet. This is internet. I, as a Flipkart, I will be connected to internet. So I can go ahead and host my resources in these servers without managing the infrastructure. Without managing the infrastructure, I will just focus on the application which I have hosted, whether it is scaling up or not, whether it is scaling down or not, whether it has enough security or not, whether it has definitely correct access levels or not. Those things I will manage as a Flipkart customer. Now I will have some end users. Those end users are just like me and you. Okay, so we are also connected to internet. They will access the resources from this data center. I, as a Flipkart customer, I will just focus on business and I will not manage the infrastructure. Managing this infrastructure will remain with the data center team, which is Azure in our case. This concept is cloud. This is cloud. Now you would ask me, nowadays from last 2 years or 3 years, people are moving to cloud, and every time I'm hearing, build your career in cloud, go to cloud, we will go to cloud, we'll go to Azure, we are going to cloud. Why this is, these buzzing words are coming off late from last 2 to 3 years. This was there from like more than 2 decades. It is already there. It's up and running. But why this is coming from last 2 to 3 years? Why everyone is saying we will move to cloud? Why? What is the reason? Why suddenly people are moving to cloud? Because first of all, remember, we went through a pandemic right now. Now, during this pandemic, it is not possible for me to send all my employees to my own infrastructure. I can have my on-premises infrastructure, I can build my own server, and I can host the web application over here. I can send my employees to manage this infrastructure. I can do that. But I, as a customer, I'm not able to send these people to manage the infrastructure because of the pandemic. Not only pandemic, apart from that also there is a huge cost which involves if I try to manage everything in my on premises. What is on premises? On premises means nothing but a building. I can have a building, I can rent out that building, I can purchase that building, and on top of that, inside that, I can build my own servers and install those web applications and manage it. But this management is becoming very costly nowadays, because if any one hardware goes bad, trust me, I cannot wait for 24 hours to replace that hardware. What I have to do, I have to make sure I have a spare hardware in my data center. For that spare hardware, I have to invest huge amount of money. Do you think that storage boxes which is attached in the data center, or the servers, the physical servers, comes with a cheaper cost like 30-40,000 for what we get our laptops today? In fact, nowadays laptops also cost around 50,000, 60,000 rupees if you want a good one. So just imagine creating one server and maintaining one server in our on premises. It would require a huge capital investment, and if it goes bad, I have to make sure there is a spare device which is present in my infrastructure. In order to replace that spare device, I need to make sure that there is a skilled resource who knows how to replace that server, should go to the premise and should replace it. And after that, what do I get? Why am I going ahead and maintaining this infrastructure by myself? Just because I want to make sure this web application which I've installed is running 24/7. This is my objective. My objective as a Flipkart customer is not to maintain infrastructure. My objective is to run my application 24/7. If I can get that by hosting my resources in someone else's data center, my objective is achieved. I am able to make business. That is why people are moving towards cloud, and they are hosting their resources in someone else's data center. That else's data center is nothing but Azure. Azure is maintaining these infrastructure. They will make sure if the storage goes bad, there is a spare storage. They will invest money. They will make sure that there is a skilled resource who knows how to replace this storage. They will take care of all those things. They will pay salaries to these people. Okay, so this is how it is working nowadays. Nowadays, people have realized that maintaining the physical on premises is costly. Okay, that is the only reason people are moving towards cloud. Okay, so what we have just discussed is what is cloud computing and why people are moving towards cloud computing, and a little bit of benefits that we do not have to manage the infrastructure. Now, there are multiple benefits of cloud computing, like it is flexible, it is scalable, it is elastic, it is agile, it is reliable, it is global. There are so many benefits, and we can talk like for 2 hours just to talk about the benefits. Okay, which we will do definitely in our full version of the training. But keeping in mind that this is the demo, I will close this what is cloud computing topic right now. I hope you understood the basics of what is cloud computing, why do we need a cloud computing, why the companies are moving towards cloud computing. Okay, so this is what is cloud. Now coming on to your role. You need to learn these things. Why you need to learn these things is because nowadays what happens is there is a portal, for example, Azure Portal. Okay, so you as an administrator, you will just log into this portal using some username and a password. This portal will give you accessibility to the data center. Over there is a server. You can provision your virtual machine, you can provision your databases, you can provision your storage, you can go ahead and deploy your web applications. You can do everything by sitting right in your home, and you do not have to manage infrastructure. So when you learn Azure, you learn to manage all these resources, which will be created or which will be hosted in Azure data center. The entire training will be about management of these resources. Remember, again, I used the word resources. Now when I say resources in Azure, what I mean is you will go ahead and learn how to create a virtual machine. You will go ahead and learn how to go ahead and create a storage account. You will learn how to go ahead and configure some identity and access management with the help of Azure Active Directory. In our training, you will go ahead and do some networking, like how to go ahead and group multiple virtual machines into one network. And we call that as a virtual network, because this network is not present in your on-premises. This network is present in Azure data center. That's why we call it as virtual network. So you will learn all these things. You will learn all these things in the training. Once you know these things, you will be skilled enough, you will have the enough knowledge to go ahead and apply for a company who is trying to host their resources in the Azure data center. So they will ask you to know these things, they will expect you to know how to manage these things. Okay, this would be your day-to-day role when you join as the Azure cloud engineer, Azure technical support, Azure database, Azure administrator, Azure engineer, like that. Whatever your role is, basically you will be going ahead and managing these things. Okay, that this is what you learn in the Azure training. Now, a little bit of an advanced concept, which I think I would like to cover. Is there anyone over here who is already working in the cloud environment, or has got some knowledge on probably the Azure um, environment or any other environment? Anyone? Okay, not a problem. So the reason I asked that question is because now I will talk a little bit on the advanced topic. Okay, so do not worry if you do not understand this. Okay, because this is like something like 8th or the 9th class which I generally cover. Okay, so even if you do not understand this, that's totally fine. Okay, so I spoke about one of the topics like virtual network, right? Now, what is this virtual network? What do we do with this virtual network? Okay, I'll just go very slow and some basics. Okay, but even if you do not understand, that's fine. That's totally fine. Okay, because this requires some prerequisites which I covered in the previous classes. Okay, so let's say there is a location which is called Central India. Means in Central India there is a data center. Okay, over there you have created a virtual machine. Not one, two, four more. There are several virtual machines which you have created, and you have kept them into one network, and you call that as a virtual network. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna have some branch offices also. Let's say the Central India is your main office, is your head office. You will have a branch office, probably let's say in South India. So in South India also you have a data center. Over there also you have some virtual machines. Now there is a need to communicate between these two virtual machines. So what you did, you created a virtual network over here in Central India data center. You will create one more virtual network in your South India data center also. Now there is a need to establish communication between virtual machine. Let me give a name. Let's say this virtual machine is virtual machine 1, and let's say this virtual machine is virtual machine number 2. You need to establish a communication between these two. What you're gonna do? What are the different ways you can think we can connect? Anyone has got any idea? Don't feel shy. Okay, even if it can be a wrong answer. Okay,
We
what do you
need
think?
a router for it. First of all,
Very good answer. Very
We
good
need to
answer.
establish a connection,
Very good.
maybe through virtual.
Virtual, very good. Virtual connection, very good. But what is the name of this virtual connection? Just a little one step ahead. What is the name? There is a specific name you would have heard several times.
Virtual network.
Very good. Virtual network I have created. Now I'm trying to connect these two machines. Virtual network is created already.
site
How
to
to
site
establish?
connection.
Very good. Site to site. What? So this site to site connection is a part of what? How do I configure this site to site?
It's through WAN.
Very good. So we all are giving appropriate words, but we are revolving around the main word, which I will try to disclose right now. Okay. Until anyone else wants to give a try. Okay, so I will disclose that. I will let you know. Okay, so these answers, whatever you have given, okay, is correct answers. Okay, so what we are trying to do, we need to establish a virtual connection. That is correct. And actually, a router is required, but since we are hosting our resources in someone else's data center, they will manage the router. I do not have to purchase the router. I just have to establish a connection, and within a couple of hours this connection will be established, and this will be a virtual connection which we do through VPN. So using VPN we can do site to site connection. Using VPN we can do point to site connections as well. Both are supported. So Azure VPN is one of the many ways, excuse me, one of the many ways through which we can connect to virtual networks. One of the many ways. I just said one of the many ways. Remember, now I will just cut short my drawing. This is my VM1 and this is my VM2. Remember, this VM1 is in Central India. This VM2 is in South India, right? So these are my present in the different data centers, and I'm trying to connect these virtual networks to each other, right? So I am trying to establish a connection. So one of the many methods is to go ahead and create a VPN connection. There are other options also like express route, VNet peering, and we'll learn about all these in our training. But right now I'm just focusing on VPN connection. Okay, just keeping in mind this is a demo session. Of course, I cannot cover everything, right? So just a quick one. I'll not go very much deep inside the VPN, but just a quick one, just to give you a brief. How does this happen? In order to create this VPN, inside my virtual network, I'll have to create something called as subnet. You will learn these things in our training. Okay, these subnet, when I create, I'll have to go ahead and give a name to this subnet. Something like, for example, I will say default gateway. So that is there will be a gateway to this subnet. This gateway will provide me a connection so to my another site. This is my another site. South India is my another site, right? So in order to configure my VPN, I have to first configure a virtual network gateway. During configuration of that virtual network gateway, I create a subnet. While creating that subnet, I have to provide a name to that subnet. I will give a name default gateway. Once I have done that, this default gateway has been created. You know what will be present inside this subnet? There will be 2 to 3 virtual machines will get created automatically inside this subnet. See, you have your virtual machine VM1 and VM2. I'm not talking about that. Inside this small black box, which I'm saying the subnet, inside this 2 to 3 more virtual machines will get created. It will take around 45 minutes to provision this virtual network gateway. And once I create this virtual network gateway subnet, a default gateway, I provided that I need to choose the gateway type. While choosing this gateway type, I will choose VPN connections. Once that is done, I need to do the same type of configuration on my another location as well, which is the South India location. So over here also I'll have a virtual network. I'll create a subnet. That subnet will be again a default gateway, and that can be done through your virtual network gateway. So I create a virtual network gateway over here also. I create a subnet, I give a default gateway, and after that I will be establishing something called as connections. So the moment I establish that connection, this will be my VPN connection, which will get established. So this is a lab session, which is one of the lab session which we will be doing in our class for free. Remember, I said initially that we will be doing some lab sessions in our training which will be absolutely free. Reyes, you heard me right. In cloud, it is, remember, it is someone else's data center. You cannot just go ahead and use someone else's storage without paying anything, right? But I will provide you an environment where you can do these lab sessions for free, absolutely free, even after the training is over. Let's say the training is from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. You will be able to go ahead and do this lab session after 10 a.m. as well, right? In the evening, in the morning, in the night, after the class is over, you can do it. After the training is over, still you can go ahead and do it. Okay, with some limited accessibility, with some limitation. Like for example, I will give you a lab. You can create a virtual machine. Now inside that virtual machine, probably you can attach a 1 TB of a disk, which will work, but you will say, no, I will attach 5 TB of a disk. That will not work because that is a limitation. So when I say limitation, there will be some limitations, okay? But this lab will be totally free. You don't have to pay for that. That will be included inside your training. Okay. So just a recap of whatever we have discussed so far.
Temple bus stop ekkada mundu vai left
See, I requested you to be on mute if you're not speaking, okay? Anyways, I just muted you, okay? So just a recap of what we discussed, okay? So what we have discussed is, first we discussed what is cloud computing, why do we need cloud computing, what is the use of cloud computing, some basic benefits we discussed, and we discussed one of the advanced concept, which is VPN. So I just discussed the basics of VPN. We will explore more about this VPN when you do the full version of the class. So these are the technical topics which I wanted to cover in my demo session, keeping in mind that this is a demo. I would like to keep everything short, simple, sweet, to the point. Okay, but again, when we go to the full version of the training, we're gonna go ahead and explore this in much more detail. Okay, now before I move forward with any other topics like certification and certification preparation information and about our courses and the offer which we have for today. Okay, before I proceed with these questions, these points right now, do you have any questions from these topics, whatever we have discussed, or anything which is not clear to you? Anyone? Yes, no, maybe, good, bad, ugly, any comments from anyone, please?
Fine. Understood. Whatever you explained.
Okay, thank you. I got one response. Okay, I can see there are more than 10 participants over here. Can I get some more confirmation?
Yes, Amit, we understood that. Yep.
Okay. Any questions from anyone? I'll just pause for 15 seconds. If anyone has any questions, please ask.
Not regarding to this, but like in generic, let's finish the session. Then in a question answers, I can ask my doubt. Is that okay?
Sure. Absolutely. We have a Q&A session. Definitely you can ask. Okay. You're welcome, sir. Okay. So now keeping in mind that we have discussed these technical topics and I did not get any other questions, I'll proceed to the next topics. Okay. Now, coming on to the training and the course content and everything, which is very, very important. Okay. So as I mentioned in the beginning of my training, we provide Azure Mastery Training. Now this Azure Mastery Training is something which we have named it. Okay. And inside this, what we have topics from Azure fundamentals plus topics from Azure administration. What is fundamentals? Knowing about what is Azure. Okay, so if you want to know just fundamentals, that will be around 2 weeks of a training. Just in case you say, I do not want Azure Mastery Training, I want only fundamentals, then there'll be around 2 weeks of a training. Now 2 weeks of a training means I generally take 3 classes per week. This is the frequency which will remain for all the training, no matter which training you take Azure Mastery or you take any other trainings from me, the frequency remains the same approximately 3 classes per week. It will be like, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Thursday, Monday, something like that. Alternate days we will do that classes. And the timing which I have is 8 to 10 a.m. in the morning, and the second slot which is available is 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. These are the two slots which is available. Okay, so you can choose between any of these two slots, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. slot or 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. Okay, generally most of my candidates are over here. Okay, so this is the most preferred batch timing, which is, even I prefer that. Okay, so but again, these two slots are available. You can choose any of these two slots. Okay, and if you go ahead with, let's say, so anyways, I provided that information. So now let's say, for example, you want to go ahead with Azure Mastery Training, which includes the topics for both fundamentals and administration. So in fundamentals, you get to know about the Azure resources, like what is a virtual machine, what is a storage, what is the Active Directory, what is a virtual network, all those things you get to know. But in administration, you get to manage. Remember the two words, know and manage. You just knowing is also good, but if you want to become an administrator, you want to excel your career, you need to know how to manage these resources. Manage means creating, deleting, making any modifications to these resources, like virtual machine. How you will know how to go ahead and create the virtual machine. You will experience, you will do the hands-on. Basically, you will do all the lab sessions by yourself. In this management part is what we cover in the Azure Mastery. So Azure Mastery contains your fundamentals plus administration topics. Knowing and managing both are there, including the lab session. So just in case if any of you have joined later, I am not a PPT guy. I prefer to explain the things via this whiteboard, and then we directly jump into the lab session. How to access this lab? What are the things required? Do not worry anything about that. Once you have enrolled, you don't pay even a single rupee. I provide this environment. You just log in over there and you start working on it. That's it, completely free without any cost. Okay, how to do that, what is required, don't worry, I will explain those things once you have enrolled, not right now. Okay, so lab information will be given to you once you have completed the enrollment. Okay, now and do I will not even ask you for your credit card. So don't even think like, you will say that, later on you will ask me a credit card and then think. No, I will not even ask you for your credit card. This lab is totally free without credit card attachment, nothing. You can practice over here n number of times. This is unlimited with some limitation will be there, but of course you can practice 24/7. It is available 24/7. Okay, so that's a little bit about the Azure Mastery Training. So Azure Mastery Training will go for around 1 month. Again, the frequency remains the same, 3 classes per week. If you believe Azure Mastery is something which you definitely want, but you want to know, you want to become an expert or you want to become an architect, go ahead with Solution Architect Training. So Solution Architect Training will go for approximately, I would say, 6 to 7 weeks, or you can say probably 1.5 months, anywhere between 1.5 months to approximately 2 months. Between that it will take. Okay, because I need to check what do you know, what you do not know, and I need to cover some basics as well, right? So you can go ahead with this complete package also, okay, if you want. So Azure Mastery, Solution Architect, you can go ahead with only Solution Architect also if you believe you already know how to manage the things. Okay, you can choose that. Now this is all about the training. Okay, this is all about the training. Okay, next comes your certification preparation. So we provide you the training and there is a cost associated to that. But just in case if your requirement is to go ahead and clear any certification, it can be anything. It can be fundamentals, it can be architect, any admin, any certification. Okay, we provide that certification preparation as an add-on. So there is a training fee which will be there. Plus this add-on is the certification preparation. This is totally an add-on. Add-on means if you want, you take it. If you do not want, don't take it. If you just want to know the things, you want to get it for knowledge, go ahead only with the training. If you want to clear any certification, I will recommend you to take the certification preparation add-on. There would be some additional charges apart from your training. So this is a total add-on, separate add-on. Whether you want or you do not want, you choose. And you don't have to choose it right away also. You can go ahead with the training, and later on also you can choose this add-on. If you believe you definitely need this, go ahead with this as a single shot. You may get some extra discounts. Okay, so that's about the training part, the frequency of the classes, the kind of training which I provide. And one thing which you might be thinking, after the class, after each class, I provide some documentation, or you can say, reference guide, or you can say, handbook. You can say anything. So I provide these soft copy to you, and this will contain what? It will contain the topic which is discussed for the day. It will contain some reference links which is required for you to refer later. It will contain the lab links which you need to refer to the labs. Plus it will contain some pictures, screenshots which we may have discussed during the class. So this kind of document you can expect every day after the class from my side. And whatever we have said till now is what we will deliver. If we do not deliver something, we say that right at the beginning itself. Okay, so this is something which you can expect